Hey there, Heather. Ho there. Chef Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Cutter Degrassism to do with the seasons of Degrassi. We started off a long time ago with Kids of Degrassi Street, about that show that had like one episode a year and then turned a few years into like 10 episodes a year and then, was all over the place. We saw people like Stacey Matishin and John Iano, be on Kids of Degrassi Street, then turned into Degrassi Junior High characters like Caitlin and John. Who was John? Wasn't Pete? It's like Scott or something. But yeah, and then Degrassi Junior High came in. The first episode, "Kiss Me, Steph," was big because Steph wanted to win the school student council election by stealing votes, having Joey help him out, and then Snake. We introduced to Snake. We're introduced to Fola. We're introduced to a lot of diverse characters, especially Raditch and Yick Yu and all them. And then came, well, that was 3 seasons. And then that was, of course, the time when Spike got pregnant and basically teen pregnancy was talked about. And then Degrassi High came in for 2 seasons, had some things like Scott abusing Kathleen and, Claude doing what he had to do, which he should not have done. And then it turned out to be a massive gap. John Vision tried to fill in the gaps doing a special Degrassi retrospective, and it worked out. CBC had a chance to do a new Degrassi series, but failed because they were a government station and they didn't have a lot of money. CTV had the money to burn and, the sets and all that because they weren't under government pressure. So CTV swooped in, got the Degrassi stuff in 2001, the same year as I was in grade 11. It started Degrassi, The Next Generation, brought like Emma's, Spitter, Manny, Liberty, Toby, JT, Sean, and a lot of other characters. And for the past 7 weeks, I've done 2 seasons of that era. Seasons 1 to 14, 2 seasons per episode, and all that, which wasn't too easy to film. And of course, now we're doing Next Class. But since there's only 40 episodes, and everyone kind of hates on Next Class, I'm going to do it in one shot. So this will be the last season's retrospective. There will be a playlist, of course. But yeah. All right. So Degrassi Next Class Season 1 started January 4th, 2016. It was released internationally on January 15th, 2016. So Degrassi was supposed to be gone and dusted off after Season 14 with the whole Summer Girls stuff. But then it turned into Tristan saying that if you think this class is bad, wait till the new class come in. And it was like, what the fuck? Are they coming back with more Degrassi? Turns out Netflix was happy with Degrassi and made Degrassi Next Class. Unfortunately, though, Next Class was very dark. Very few humorous moments at all. Anyway, there were a lot of issues. There was cystic fibrosis with Grace, racial discrimination, many dark-skinned actors, sexuality, that being, I think, Zoe, I don't remember, Islamophobia, like Goldie and them, immigration, cyberbullying with Maya, mental illness with Hunter, school shootings with Hunter, and social media with probably Hunter and a lot of people. So 19 characters came through, 14 of them returned from the previous series. So it was, from Degrassi season 14 on to Next Class. Now, one key important moment is there were very few plot lines that survived past the summer movie into Next Class. One massive glaring omission was Zoe and the whole Degrassi nudes thing from season 14. Like, she ended up trying to get community service to try and make the judge go light on her. We didn't see any punishment from Zoe. But could it be that Mayor Hollingsworth, after Zoe helped save Maya, maybe Mayor Hollingsworth put some clout? And since she was a hero, she got out of it? I doubt that highly, but you never know. So anyway, we had a lot of characters and all that. So anyway, yeah. Degrassi's 14 season run was canceled. Nickelodeon passed on Next Class. And Netflix picked it up saying it was a standalone series for new generation, new iteration. So, of course, Netflix and the Family Channel in Canada got to do these things and all that. And all 40 episodes had the hashtag in front of it. So first was hashtag booty call. Starting New Year Degrassi, Maya needs a guitarist. And of course, Sig and Maya still are a pair. Shay tries to enhance her assets to impress Tiny and all that, but Tiny likes Shay for who she is, and Tiny changes from gang member to good guy. So he tries to put her more than friends feelings for Grace aside. It happens when Tristan runs for class president against Miles. So in fact, Tristan becomes a class president only because Miles got disqualified for like his budget with a lot of money, and Degrassi did not like that thing, so Tristan won it. No filter is when Zoe and Grace are assigned together for a group project, and Zoe tries to help Grace with her cystic fibrosis. Miles learns that his mother's a new man, and a lot of anger. Frankie dyes her hair after breaking up with Winston. Lola and Shay might be depressed and all that. And this was the first, well, Booty Call was the first time we saw Goldie, Yale, and Fiji. Whereas No Filter was the first episode of appearance of Chelsea Clark as Esme. Yes means yes is when bias is introduced, and Miles wants to dig up dirt on his father, but he's trying to fix his problems and all that. Hunter pitches the game club to student council, and Tristan and Zoe are hesitant, but they accept his proposal and all that. Sig and Maya have an uncomfortable conversation with the fact that, Sig is more insecure about his relationship with Maya. Not okay, the fourth episode's when she wants a gig for a band, but it's not. But her mom says it's not at a club. She has sexist microaggression and tries to fight back, and all that. So yeah, that. But that's none of my business. Is when Miles learns the short stories are a success and decides to spend time with his dad and all that. Yale, Hunter, Fiji, and Baz go to a gaming event, qualify and win, but someone takes one too many pills and all that. And Lola tries to get the whole female masturbation thing around, which is kind of awkward. And news spreads around the school that Maya's feminist move, and then Goldie makes Maya and Grace come to the feminist club and all that. After Sig talks to her, she decides to quit and then learns that she is a feminist and willing to fight for equal rights. Not all men is when Zoe learns her mother has a prejudice against gay people, and Zoe isn't sure what to happen. So anyway, so the gaming club wins a thing, and actually Hunter updates their technology on the game they won. Unfortunately, the feminist club have a problem with it. Hunter tries to explain himself that, the gaming, that, yeah, Maya and Goldie says that, the game looks too bad towards females. Like, the female characters have enhanced stuff, and then Hunter says, well, that's the way it was designed. I had nothing to do with it. Goldie suggests we bullying and says it's misogynistic, wants to shut down. Hunter then snaps at Maya, Sig, and Goldie, saying that they're terrible, and unfortunately the gaming club gets shut down. Hunter wants revenge. I mean, Simpson, I don't know what Simpson would have thought, but since Simpson heard about the storyline and all that, what Hunter's comments, he had to shut it down. Episode 7 is This Could Be Us, But You're Playing, is when Maya is given the chance to meet with a music producer in New York. All that. So, anyway, Sig, of course, is insecure about Maya's problems and all that. Zoe realizes that Grace isn't gay and all that, and is upset. Team follow back is when Frankie wants to go out with Winston again, but there's a lot of problems and all that. Maya learns that people are groping her or something, being doxxed, so she decides to perform from home in the safety of her own house. But unfortunately, a swatting occurs. What it is in internet slang is that, someone calls, like like it's a prank. They call the police to someone's house and scares the crap out of them, and so they did, and endangers both Sig and Maya. Maya tries to think who would do that in the ninth episode, since we being honest. However, the troll was Hunter and Bias, trying to get revenge for the gaming club being taken out and all that. So, anyway, Sig does tell Maya it was Hunter and says that he made it with Zoe and all that. And then Sorry Not Sorry was the big one, in which Maya learns that someone might go after her and all that. The school is put in lockdown for reasons unknown and all that. Sorry and Tristan learn that Miles is going to boarding school. The gaming club tell on themselves as maestros to Principal Simpson and Maya. Everyone is sorry minus Hunter. And anyway, Hunter is upset that everyone just basically walked away from the situation and shoves Yale and all that. Hunter makes a list. Maya, Sig, Tristan, Goldie, PJ, Bass, Yale. Maya for being part of the feminist club with Goldie. Sig for supporting Maya. Tristan for being the student council president. VJ, Bass, and Yale for putting them in a bad situation. Miles and Winston do find the list and go after Hunter. So anyway, Maya and Zoe are stuck in the washroom. Everyone's stuck in the corner. Hunter, Sig, Tristan, and Goldie are stuck together. Tristan learns from Miles that, Hunter is coming back. Fortunately, though, Miles calms down Hunter. The lockdown's over, and Maya is angry at Sig for being with Zoe, so it's over. Miles called the lockdown out of fear because he didn't know what happened to Tristan. Maya and Grace make up. Frankie dances with Jonah, and Hunter was planning to do something. Well, he was upset and all that. That his gaming club was taken away from him. Like, I get it, but that doesn't excuse anything. And thankfully, though, nothing bad happened. I actually was thinking that somehow Simpson may have confronted Hunter and talked to him about the gun not being good because of the Rick Murray situation. But, as usual, you were wrong, Cutter. Anyway, so season 2 saw things like racism, major depressive disorder, oppositional defiant disorder. What is major depressive disorder? Like being majorly depressed or something? Clinical depression. Oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, is a pattern of angry mood and vindictiveness. That's towards Hunter, I bet. Transgender rights, probably for Yale. Sex, protests about Tiny being suspended for seemingly protecting Shay and Lola. We'll get to that later. Self-harm. Cystic fibrosis, sexual identity. Police brutality to do with stuff. BDD and self-image. So anyway, production. So the first episode of season 2 is Squad Goals, is when the volleyball team fights Northern Tech. Northern Tech pulls a prank on them, pulling a fire alarm, and the girls have to be out in their underwear and all that. Maya realizes he has to step up as a big brother to deal with Hunter, and Miles tries to get back together with Sig, realizing she made a mistake. So, of course, Frankie and the volleyball team decide, after being pranked by them, to draw Sioux animals because Northern Tech was known as the Sioux. Unfortunately, though, the captains are drawn as gorillas, and that's bad in Black culture. Everyone knows that, and they refuse to play the game. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, where's Simpson and the Northern Tech principal? I mean, yeah, like they both pranked each other and all that, but where were they in helping things out? Nothing. Turned up number 2 is when Hunter must get professional help, so he ends up going to rehab for a while. Shay doesn't know if she should defend Frankie or not. She actually thinks about it, but then the Northern Tech captain tells her about the racism and all that, and even Shay's dad says something about that. Check your privilege. Number 3 is when Frankie tries to host a diversity mixer to fix things with Northern Tech. Unfortunately, it does not work out that well. Buy Me Pizza is when Zoe hides her true self after not receiving a call back from a movie and TV show. Because of Zoe being gay and all that, like she's saying she's gay and all that, people are just being misogynistic. Grace gives her a makeover, and Tiny tries to help Lola and Shay out after they get hurt by somebody. Unfortunately, though, one of the teacher sees this, tells Principal Simpson what she saw, and of course, without the context, Tiny is given a week suspension. That leads us to Throwback Thursday, the 5th episode of season 2, and unfortunately, Degrassi's 500th episode. So here's who were coming back from previous seasons of Next Gen. You had Sav, you had Holly Jane, you had Liberty, you had Paige, you had Craig, Peter, Spinner, Emma, Marco, and Mo. Yeah, Mo's so random and all that. Yeah, I liked all these characters except for Mo. Like he didn't really have much. Although to be fair, I did watch seasons 11 to 14. Not much. So Throwback Thursday is the big episode in next class for me. It was the 500 episodes. Tristan announces there'll be some alumni things over the weekend. Liberty and Holly J come back and are happy and all that. And then they learn about the whole racial tension, the whole Black Lives Matters thing about Frankie not being punished except for being kicked off the volleyball team. And Simpson says that's the best he could do. And all that. A lot of people probably think that Simpson is just bowing down to white privilege and all that. And the school board suspension for a week's like the week suspension for Tiny smells of systemic racism. So Paige steps in and tells everyone and Marco that, it is actually true that students of ethnicity are punished worse than white people are. Like it's Frankie. Like Frankie should have been suspended or in trouble. Simpson refuses, saying that was punishment enough. She was kicked off the volleyball team. But no one listened. Of course, there's also the tone, and this is my opinion, that it's possible that Simpson wanted to stay away from Hollingsworth because Hollingsworth may have put the pressure on Simpson. After all, I mean, Miles should have been in trouble for burning the school with that arson in Firestarter season 14. Hunter with his nearly shooting the school, and Frankie with the whole racist poster. I think Hollingsworth put pressure on Simpson to bow down to him. And like Sierra reads and writes, well, now she's yapping and yelling on YouTube. She says something to the fact that, he got the money and Simpson couldn't fight it. Nevertheless, Simpson was in deep trouble and people didn't want him and all that. Emma pops in with Spinner, and then Emma learns from Liberty all this fuss and says that, has Sting not told you these things? And she's like, no, we go Sunday dinner with them. I think that Simpson's trying to hide his problems. They just want to talk. They don't want to destroy Simpson. They just want to talk, and Simpson's fighting them off. But finally, Simpson, near the end, decides, fine, let's just finish it off. Let's just end this. Unfortunately, Frankie gets shafted at the alumni event and told, while she sings in place of Maya, who burnt out her voice. So practically, Frankie runs away, or tries to run away. To My Future Self, number 6 is when Shay is offered a dream of her lifetime, but then on the Canadian junior volleyball team, but then she's told to back off and apologize for getting in the face of the police officer, which I think she does not do. I think Shay practically sticks to her morals, and the Canadian volleyball team can suck. You know what? Go. Anyway, Grace spends time with Sig, and Maya decides to have a friendship with Peter. Of all effing people, it's Peter Stone. Peter has seemed to mellow out and be a good guy in a sense, but in essence, can't trust him. And then we find out that Emma and Spinner are trying to buy a house and all that, and that's the last time they're mentioned. So he has a rivalry with Esme and all that, working with Winston. Yeah, of course. That awkward moment, episode 7, is when Frankie decides to run away by driving off with Jonah, but running away is not the solution. And a lot of people were surprised because a black guy was trying to approach her in her car and she rolls up the windows. And then Frankie realizes she's learning the world from rose-tinted glasses and needs to improve herself. I mean, okay, fine, but the guy was approaching her and she didn't know who he was, and, he might be a stranger. Anyhow, Rise and Grind is when Miles and Tristan run into relationship troubles and all that. These are my confessions. Number 9 is when Grace confesses to having feelings for Sig. Shay realizes that they need Frankie for Volleyball City Finals, but wasn't sure if that should be forgivable and all that. And all that. But, like, that's actually shocking. Well, they had to play Northern Tech because that match was actually abandoned because of the whole racist poster thing. So the final volleyball game happens, and OMFG, the 10th episode, brings everything going. Frankie offers to sit out if it's going to hurt Northern Tech and the team, but they need her. A group of boosters, as in students led by class president Tristan, are taking a bus to go to the volleyball finals and all that to cheer Degrassi on. Degrassi wins the match, but unfortunately there's a bus crash and students' lives are in danger. So that's season 2. Now on to season 3 with sex, abortion, as in Lola, and we actually see Lola in the operating room for the abortion. That was shocking. Immigration with a new wave of Islamic students. Depression, that's Maya for sure. ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, major depression, traumatic brain injury, that's Tristan. And a lot of people said that was the best moment of Tristan, him being in a coma. Well, Tristan may be a dick, but he wasn't really that bad in the first few scenes of the next class. Season 13 and 14, yeah, for sure. Dysfunctional families, sexuality, homophobia, fair hormones, religion, I guess, Islam, protest, disabilities, cystic fibrosis, teen pregnancy, and suicide attempts. That'd be Maya. So season 3 starts with Break the Internet. 4 months after the bus crash, the students are still kind of effective and all that. Miles tries to post pictures of Tristan's recovery on the school's Facebook page, but Simpson pulls them down saying those are traumatic and all that. Miles accuses Simpson of not giving a crap about Tristan's injuries. Well, Simpson's doing it to protect him. Those images are graphic. But Miles decides to post them as part of a project and gets himself thrown into detention alongside Lola, who's upset with Shay and all that. But Miles and Lola hook up in detention. It's kind of like Liberty and JT in season 4 when Raditch basically was upset over them trying to tell him that his stupid musical is a bad idea and that he thinks he's better than everyone. But it works out. I mean, that was the final straw. Raditch was reassigned. And in my mind, Raditch didn't take the reassignment well. I think he was upset over the school board ruining him. So he's like, fuck it. I'm not going to the school board. I'm going to do something else. And he goes to California to do Chop Cut Rebuild. That's just me. And remember, the whole Breakfast Club episode saw Sean hook up with Ellie and Jimmy hooking up with Hazel. So yeah, woke up like this. Season 2, episode 2 is when the gamer club is still around and they try to have more female viewers but backdress. Maya has an interest in tragedy porn because she still has the images of Tristan being hurt despite the fact that Tristan was a piece of shit towards Maya. Why would she care? It doesn't make sense. And Esme has a dark burden she's carrying because Esme learns that her mother tells her that her mother actually killed herself in front of her when she was 10. Sorry, but that's what I know. Shay suffers a feminine mishap in Worst Guest Ever, episode 3. There was actually a play about the bus accident and all that. Jonah and Grace pitched to the student council, and Goldie tries to be Muslim in a non-Muslim culture. She wears her headscarf. Baz, her brother, or is it VJ? No, I think it's Baz. Baz says, you don't have to wear the hijab. Mom and Dad are okay with you not wearing the hijab. Why do you wear it? And remember Hazel in season 2 trying to hide her Somalian heritage in the hijab? And Terry asks about the hijab, and Goldie says she wears it for prayers, but she's in a position she doesn't have to wear it all the time. This was the opposite. Picks or it doesn't happen. Episode 4 saw us that Maya meets a student with her dark interest, and Frankie thinks Jonah's hiding something. Jonah's hiding the fact that he has a kid with another girl. Huge if true, episode 5 is when Hunter, Vijay, and Baez try to measure up to one another when the girls' night is a co-ed party. Episode 6, that feeling when, is when Zoe Winston wanted to date Rasha and all that. Miles is upset over the development at the hospital with Tristan, and Frankie decides to stalk Jonah. Unsubscribed, episode 7 is when Grace has a decision about her health because she was supposed to get lungs to fix her cystic fibrosis, but unfortunately that fails and her lungs can't be transplanted, so she's in trouble. Rasha's first date goes awry, Hunter's embarrassed, and Zoe's in an intimate moment with Rasha. I Regret Nothing, episode 8 is when Lola finds herself in a problem she needs a solution to, and that's being pregnant by Miles, so she goes to the abortion clinic, and yes, that was when we find out all that stuff. So Tristan makes progress, Miles' mental health spirals, and Miles thinks the play might be too bad. Woke, hashtag woke number 9 is when Maya has a plan to stop her hurtful behavior. She pretends to be nice. Katie comes through in season 3, realizing Maya's problems and wants to help Maya out. So she gives like a girls' night with her and her mother, but secretly she wants to off herself. Zoe decides to go to her mom's wedding and make a statement with Rasha, which gets Zoe kicked out of the house for good, and Zoe now has to find someone to live with, and Frankie is caught violating others' privacy. So, yeah, like Zoe trying to prove to her mom that she's gay, and her mom keeps saying no to that. Consuela. But, I mean, it's the Catholic religion. At the time, like this is 2017, that Catholics were not as great towards people of homosexuality as they are now in 2025. Well, I say 2026 technically too. But things were different. I mean, Pope Francis fixed a lot of things before he passed away, and now we got this Pope from the United States. And I think the Pope made a statement that he's not going to bow under you-know-who's pressure. Nevertheless, like, Zoe wanted to prove to her mom she was gay. Okay, fine. But this is her mom's wedding. Couldn't she have pushed the situation with Rasha in another setting? I think I get it. Like, yeah, Zoe is half right, half wrong. But you gotta remember too, her mom marries a new guy, mostly because she can't live off Zoe because Zoe's not getting the TV roles because people are being homophobic. But she doesn't see that way. She lived through Zoe's money and all that, and since Zoe wasn't giving her money, she decides to throw Zoe away and then marry some guy for his money. And of course, I'm Sleep, episode number 10 is when Tristan goes to see the school play about the bus crash. Rasha and Zoe get back together in a sense. And of course, that's when Maya finds a bus and decides to go on the bus after sending letters to everybody, including Sig, that she's going to sit on the bus, take some of her mom's pills that she swiped, and then, fall asleep listening to music on the bus, like Cam. It's basically the whole thing with Maya and Cam. Like, the whole Cam situation never left Maya. I mean, it was brought back mostly after the bus crash. Like, after season 14, it seemed like Maya was back on the road to recovery. Nope. The bus crash brought back the feelings of Cam again. So, yeah, so to honor Cam, although she doesn't say his name, she should have. That happens. Fortunately, though, the pills can't be there. She gives half an hour. They don't kick in, and Maya decides to jump off the roof of the school. Fortunately, though, Sig and Esme are making out on the roof. They find Maya convulsing because the pills finally come to effect, and Sig says, "We need her to vomit." Esme's like, "No, don't," because she could choke on her vomit. They end up saving Maya. Katie's happy to say that Maya will do better. And then Tristan, on his little personal thing, writes, "I want pizza." So they go for pizza and leave Maya high and dry. Everyone was pissed at that result. And I would be too. I mean, like, what the fuck? Like, you're leaving Maya in a bad situation. Tristan may have done it to upstage Maya. Who knows? Anyway, season 4, the final 10 episodes of Degrassi as of this date, because 2022 we heard about a reboot that doesn't happen because Warner Brothers needed money. Kyle Discovery, and of course, killed off the Degrassi reboot. Too bad Canada couldn't do it. So anyway, yeah, it's the final journey. There's mental health, major depression, oppositional defiant disorder, cystic fibrosis, gender identity, sexual identity, acceptance, faith, terrorism, disability, sex, and hate crimes. So anyway, the first episode is back to reality. I don't know what this is about. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, this was when Maya has to go back on the road to recovery after almost killing herself because of the whole bus crash and all that. It was just horrible. Get Money episode 2 was when Frankie tries to grow her social platform and tries to up her volleyball game to get scouted because obviously she told those Canadian junior teams to fuck off. I'm not going to apologize for what I did in season 2. And noticeably, something's missing from a restaurant. Lola thinks it's Syed, but Syed declares that's wrong. I look like A. The third episode is when Goldie's flirting with Winston and doesn't even know it. And Miles questions a postgrad opportunity that seems too good to be true, and that's writing school in Europe. I heard it as riding school, like with horses and all that. No, that's not it. Roll Up to the Club, episode 4, is when Grace writes a bucket list because she's worried that her lungs are not going to come in for cystic fibrosis. Maya finally gets back in the groove of music, and a terrorist attack in Belgium puts Goldie in a scary situation close to home, and all that. Of course, you know, the whole thing in Brussels, and there was also a terrorist attack in Paris, too, around this time at the Stade de France. But yeah, Preach, the 5th episode, is when Syed's torn between his own beliefs and the students show solidarity for Brussels. Syed, of course, is upset, saying that, you know, you don't really care about Islam, Muslims, and all that. You only care when bad things happen and all that for solidarity. Makes sense. Frankie doesn't know if she should hang out with Esme and Sig in what they call a polyamorous relationship. Esme, I think, pretty much sets that up so that she can keep Sig towards her and all that. Facts only number 6 is when Yale feels like there's a identity overhaul, so Yale turns non-binary, aka meaning that Yale will only be addressed as they instead of him or her. Maya auditions for a competition, which Craig actually comes back from. Fire, number 7, is when there's a seniors only camping getaway with Sig, Tiny, Jonah, Grace, and Maya, but Frankie, Esme, Shay, and Lola crash it. Get you a man that can do both. The 8th episode is when Tristan and others wonder if his turbo mode recovery thing is a good idea. And then, of course, proposals happen. Shay wants Tiny to do the same. The 9th episode is Obsessed. During the senior prom, is that the party is unlike any others in Degrassi history, with bomb threats, injuries, arrest, and drama. So, if I remember the second last episode, Obsessed, it's when this episode, it's when Sig and Maya accidentally agree to go to prom with each other during exams and all that, which of course upsets Esme because she's supposed to be with Sig and Sig's not supposed to be towards Maya. And it kind of makes sense that Esme has a bone to pick with Maya because, fight me on this, Esme, I think, was hoping that everyone would praise her for saving Maya's life. But when people start going towards Maya, including possibly Sig, Esme set up the polyamorous relationship with Sig and frankly to keep Sig and not have him go towards Maya. And then Esme wants to destroy Maya with her problems. Also, Hunter wants to know from Yale how to address Yale and all that, but Yale doesn't give a straight answer. Hunter feels bad, and a lot of people think that he's going to be back to being misogynistic and hating on people. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree because I think Mr. Hollingsworth is a piece of shit. There, I said it. So, of course, you know, a lot of things happen. There's some romance, and then Esme pops in at the end of the prom, even though that Maya tells Sig, go towards Esme. No bones about it. Esme then throws Sig down in the embankment and he gets hurt, which leads to the final episode. Kay thanks bye. And all that. Tristan and Miles make life-altering decisions about their future. And all that. Zoe actually is valedictorian because, that's a popularity contest. And basically, everyone wants to know um, how she'll handle it. Zoe wants her mom to be there, but her mom basically disowns her for being gay and a lot of other things. And of course, Zoe has to live with Grace for a little bit. She still has a relationship with Rasha, but it seemed that Zoe was going to get her mom to come to prom. Unfortunately, though, Zoe's dad comes with papers for her college and basically a letter that Zoe, I guess, doesn't read. I think she burns it. But, like, Zoe is upset that her mom refuses to come see her. I mean, who's going to question Zoe's mom about her problems? She felt shame, and she didn't want to be in the room with Zoe. All she could do is just pop up and then just leave afterwards. But yeah, Zoe's mom basically had an issue with Zoe and all that. Sig, of course, is injured at prom because of Esme throwing him down the embankment. Maya feels so terrible. She refuses to go to graduation, saying that she is full of drama. Grace, to her credit, decides to go see Maya and help Maya with the process of feeling bad for herself. And fortunately for Maya, she's going to graduation. We soon learn from Yale that there's no Esme at the graduation thing because Esme missed the last month of the school year and missed her exams, which automatically means she fails. And all that. People are shocked by it. In the middle of Zoe's valedictorian speech, which she has problems with, and then Maya is told to sing a song, the sing last exit for the graduation by Snake, who makes his only appearance in K Thanks Bye in season 4. It's like, why didn't he appear in the start of season 4? It doesn't make sense. I guess they wanted to have stuff away from school and not deal with Snake, which is kind of stupid. Stephen Brogan deserved better. But yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, he appears in the last episode only in this 10 episode block. And then Esme distracts Sig from Maya's performance by giving him a motorcycle, trying to keep the relationship. Sig tells Esme she needs help. And Esme says, I did everything to keep the relationship going. I even called it a bomb threat. That's when I talked about the bomb threat from that episode. Everyone thought it was Syed because, the police were basically profiling him. But it wasn't Syed, it was Esme. Everyone realizes, oh my God, we got the wrong person. And I think Yale or Grace or somebody said it was Syed. Whoops, big mistake. So Syed actually is upset by this, but we'll learn that later. Esme then starts to hit Sig with the motorcycle helmet. Miss Growl wraps her up in the arms and says, it's not too late to admit your mistake, and she collapses crying. Maya tells Sig that she needed to help Esme by telling the truth, and that worked. You gotta love Maya for that. Also, I think Maya kind of owed it to Esme. Esme did save her life, so I think Maya gave Esme oh, I owe you one. Miles ends up going to the writing school in Europe thanks to Mayor Hollingsburg giving him some of the trust. Tristan gets a honorary GED for his efforts and all that, which is pretty good. Of course, Zoe throws, when Miles throws a graduation party at Mayor Hollingsburg's house, Zoe then does her valedictorian speech, realizing that she doesn't need her mom. She's got her friends, and they'll help her out. And then, of course, the final montage was great. Talking about it. Oh, yeah, Syed says that he's moving to Montreal because he's tired of all the Toronto racism. But Lola says there's good things. Me. And they'll stay together. So during Last Exit, which Snake mistakes for a cheery song instead of it's a suicidal song by Maya, Frankie and... No, not Frankie. Winston and Golia are the new power couple. Winston accompanies Miles to Europe. A lot of people thought that Winston had a homosexuality thing with Miles. I think that's what it was set up to be. But they didn't. Frankie had Shay and Tiny are a power couple too, so are Zoe and Rasha. We find someone in the hospital, which at first I thought was Esme finally getting help for her problems, but no, it was Grace. And Grace finally got her lungs so she could finally get her cystic fibrosis under control. and all that. There's a few other scenes, and yes, we see Sig and Maya head to California. It was meant to be. Degrassi wanted them together, no matter what the consequences were, and all that. We never got to see Sean and Emma end up being together. Claire and Eli probably ended up together, but they wanted the definitive Sig and Maya ending. Not too good. So that is it. I've gone through Kids of Degrassi Street. I've gone through Degrassi Junior High, Degrassi High, Degrassi Next Gen seasons 1 to 9, and then they turned into Degrassi seasons 10 and 11, and of course, Next Class. So 6 different types of things, spanning from 1979 to 2017. So 38 years of Degrassi in a tight little package, which was how many weeks? 11 weeks. Yeah, 1 for Kids of Degrassi, 1 for Degrassi Junior High, 1 for High. 7 for the Degrassi series 1 to 14 and Next Class. So 11 weeks I've spent talking about the seasons, talking about episodes, talking about tidbits and all that, and, talking about some episodes too much in length. 40 minutes, not too bad. So anyway, thanks for watching. There will be more Degrassi ideas. I have a couple of top 10s that I plan on doing. So thanks for this happy, handsome ride. And of course, the playlist is in the description and Degrassi Reddit. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.